All right, it's recording this time, so yippee. My name's Brandon. This is just.
Sorry.
You know what? We're just gonna wing. We're winging the whole thing anyway. So
let's go.
Yep.
Welcome aboard.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Jonathan. I'm Marty.
This is the Discovering Eden podcast, otherwise known as possibly a sinking ship.
Welcome to the peanut gallery.
Don't talk to the mermaids.
Sea cows. So, Brandon, what are we talking about today? Vampires, hippopotamus,
hippocampus,
hippogriffs.
Whatever you want to think.
You name the creature in the comments, we'll talk about it. That's where we're at right now.
The great oogly boogly.
Mike Wazowski.
Anyway, we're talking about vampires, werewolves, and unicorns. You know, quite the eclectic group.
Yes.
Anyway, we need prayer, as you can maybe tell by the beginning of this episode. So yeah, I don't even remember who did it last week because we recorded the episode, except we didn't because it wasn't recording. So we went half an hour into it and realized we didn't hit the record button.
It's great.
So
part of the course.
Yeah. So pretty.
Who prayed for Halloween?
I think I did.
You did? Sounds right.
Yeah, so this is an awkward segment of our trying to... So, rock, paper, scissors.
I can pray. That's
okay.
Yeah. Lord, we thank you for this time together. We thank you for just being able to nerd out, being able to discuss these things, being able to have weird conversations and segues and who knows how all this goes, and just being able to wing it and all of this stuff, Lord, that despite our best laid plans, we know that we don't have control over anything, but you've got control over everything. And so we just thank you for that. We thank you for the leading of your spirit. And we ask for your wisdom tonight. We ask for your leading. And just be with us as we discuss these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, let's get to the bumper. Of course it stopped working. All right, this is fun. Hi, guys. And...
There we go.
All right, welcome to the Peanut Gallery. Wow, I can't even speak.
And I think the challenge is recreating the 30 minutes from last week because they were maybe the greatest 30 minutes of all time. At least that's what I'm going to say, so the audience and 2 viewers really believes it. You missed out.
Yeah. Man, I wish we could. I wish I could auto-record in my mind what we talked about because it went a great direction. I just wish I remembered which direction that was.
I do remember bits and pieces of it. But... Pretty sure you were Team Edward. Marty was Team Jacob. Not team both of them. I'm gonna go Team Bella. Come on.
I think I remember where I started it, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach, especially since Halloween is now past. So again, tying into the 3 Eames and everything that we have been talking about, and especially with the conversation that has come up with the kind of extra spiritual side of natures and like, say, of places like in Egypt, ancient Egypt, or in like India with Hinduism and different things, like making things extra spiritual, and maybe some of the creatures that come out of that, like Nagas, for example, that kind of have that spiritual side that could still quote unquote exist, but it exists in a different, reality, if you will. So instead of like on a physical plane, but more on a spiritual plane, but kind of a a mix or mesh of the two. Kind of with Halloween, as we kind of talked about, the origin kind of has this mix or mesh of the underworld and the physical. So it's that kind of otherworldly tie-in.
Yeah.
So maybe where, again, the physical and spiritual are blurred. So some of that. And obviously, first thing that we're going to talk about is vampires. So vampires, again, take on a very Christian origin, I believe, with Transylvania and everything. Considering, they're weak to, the cross,
holy
water,
garlic.
silver, garlic, So they're afraid of Wario.
And Count Chocula, chocolate, delicious cereal.
Yeah, and they want to suck your blood.
Yeah.
All that, and
well, and one of the fascinating things about vampires too, as we looked into a little bit last week, is that wasn't the origin. It's what we know to be the origin because it is the most popular. But it actually stems as old as Mesopotamian myths, but they were more demonic in nature and less like what we know from Transylvania, Castlevania, all
kind of
that
old
stuff.
Bram
Dracula,
Stoker,
like the more popular, well-known things from the 1800s.
well, are very European in origin.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the Mesopotamian and all those kind of lore, we kind of miss out on, and we don't really realize some of the origins behind it. And I mean, that's similar with a lot of the creatures, even that we've talked about in this series for the podcast. A lot of them stem from Mesopotamia, kind of the cradle of civilization.
Yeah.
But it's not just there either. You see it kind of encompassing different cultures around the world, not just Mesopotamia. So, for example, something that's really similar, like you have a lot of the quote-unquote demons, say, in Japan and all that culture. And what do they look like? And then you have yokai and different, like all those different aspects. Obviously, yokai are a little bit different. Like some of them are like tall tales, old wives' tales, different things like that, but almost characterized in like a form, saying like, oh, I don't know, an umbrella that has an eye, and all those kind of things. Just different things like that. But with the vampire, it's very much, well, it's almost like a human and demon come together, and voila, you have a vampire. Has the same destructive kind of connotation, weak to light. It's the light and dark, good, evil kind of connotation with it as well.
I get very like demon possession vibes, especially with like the popular culture that we see now, like the kind of your Dracula, that kind of interpretation of it. That's the vibe I get from it more than like straight demon, like in kind of those older myths. It's more like here's a person who almost has a possessed, sort of.
Well, and that makes sense too, considering how they recreate, by common myth. Okay, they're gonna go suck their, victim's blood, and that victim becomes a vampire.
Yeah, and it's something that's really interesting. Again, going back to almost the animal anthropomorphic side to a lot of religion as well. And you see this almost with Dracula. Maybe this is just in pop culture, just because I see it. Turns into a bat. Quite literally a bat. So animorph all the way to. But then it's like something where you can turn into a bunch of bats, and it's taken on almost more of a spiritual side, or something that's out of the realm of what we would consider physically possible or realistic. So almost like a subversion of our own expectations of something that could exist. We all count it as fantasy. But what if, and I know I'm talking a what if scenario here, what if something like vampires actually did exist and they were actually demons on the spiritual realm, physical realm side of things, where it kind of blurs that line, where they're like actual people, they take on different things, and you even see similar kind of spiritual side things happen in the Bible. Obviously, I'm talking about this in terms of like vampires here, but even going back to Jesus, for example, on the way back, two of the disciples, like, or whatever, they're like, "Man, Jesus is gone. He died."
Yeah.
There comes basically Jesus walking up to them on the road.
And they have no clue.
They have no idea who he is, but he's talking with them about himself, basically, and until the point that the two realize that, oh, that's Jesus, and then he poof vanishes.
Yeah.
Like something like that. And I believe something like that's true, because there are plenty of stories. Just talk to anybody who's encountered God or Jesus in this way. I believe that kind of stuff exists.
Mm-hmm.
You hear things like guardian angels. You hear things similarly in that vein. The same is also true of the inverse. Because if God created angels and everything, well, angels that have fallen are demons. They can do the same thing.
Yep.
All take after the maker, which is God. And anything, they follow the suit. Like, just like we can create and make and do all these things in the image of God, like, we're made in his image, we kind of follow in the same footsteps, whether we realize it or not. We follow in the same tendencies to create, to do all these other things, to worship, different things like that. Mm-hmm. In the same vein, so too do demons. They've just perverted it.
Right.
So, something like vampires, for example, I don't necessarily count it as necessarily fiction. Now, to me, personally, scientifically, it sounds far-fetched. Like, what? But at the same time, some of the stories and everything that you hear, I think, do have some semblance of truth to them. Whether that means it's a creature, like an actual animal, or if it does have that spiritual side of things. It's hard to say, because, I mean, I'm not back in Mesopotamian time. I couldn't tell you.
Right.
I wasn't there. I may have gray hair, but I'm not that old. But yeah, it's something I've been pondering a lot lately.
Yeah, and talking about like the Mesopotamian side of it, versus what we know from the European tradition, 1800s tradition, is that the Mesopotamian did have that more, like, they are a kind of demonic view of it. Like, they appear more demonic. Bat wings and all of that does stem from that time period. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Midnight Mass, we talked a little bit about this when we attempted to record last week, but if you haven't seen that, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to spoil a major thing, so skip like 3 minutes. So Midnight Mass, show on Netflix, they dive into that because it's this whole, like, this priest or whatever is leading this congregation, and he starts seeing, like, or the congregation starts seeing all these, like, healing miracles and that, and it's by this blood that this priest has, and they're trying to figure, one guy's skeptical of all this and trying to figure it out, and as the story goes on, you find out that this priest made his way into, I forget if it's the Middle East or wherever, but it was more of that, like, Arab kind of Mesopotamian myth, and finds this creature there that presents itself, or that he sees as like an angel. Well, it's actually a vampire, but it is that demonic sort of view. The fangs, like, all teeth are just fangs. It has bat wings, gray skin, all that type of stuff. Looks somewhat humanish, but
there's something unsettling about it.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess kind of tying into that, I don't think I talked about this when we tried recording before, but it does remind me, think of the Oni mask. in Japanese culture with the fangs and everything. You look at the Medusa that we talked about earlier in a different podcast, kind of going to the seraphim kind of thing, the snake-like things, even the nagas to some degree, the dragons, all that kind of stuff. They all, like, and this goes even back to the serpent that you see in Genesis. Like, all of these share very similar characteristics. I don't think that's coincidental. I do think that's intentional. And the fact that you do see these humanoid, serpentine people in other religions and in other folklore. And the fact that, well, in the case of like Oni, which are considered like demons or different things like that, or, Medusa, and the depiction of it looks grotesque, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It does show a more demonic thing that they all show the same kind of thing across many different cultures. And sure, maybe you can call it, it's just a melting pot because Rome is Rome. And they throw everything together, and who knows, they could have gotten Japanese culture and like, oh, congratulations. I like that idea. Yeah. Throw that in.
Welcome aboard.
But even like with Anzu, for example, which is Mesopotamian as well, as the quote-unquote dragon, but like kind of like the lion. It was like mixture of lion and dragon, different. It's called a dragon. Yeah. But it has kind of the fangs again. It looks very demonic, monster-like in the face. But like that, with a lot of different ancient religions, a lot of things are anthropomorphic. And you can argue it's for different reasons. Oh, it's the personification of XYZ. But I could also see it in terms of spirituality. And seeing it in terms of, okay, so what if they're seeing a demon that can also change into different things? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, you have Fafnir here. It's a dwarf. But he can change into all these different things. Like dwarfs can change into whatever. He just so happened to turn into a dragon that we know of Fafnir and being slayed as such. But it's something like that. And it's the anthropomorphic thing. And it's like, they're just trying to relate things to, what we see as humans. Or, that's relatable because they're a human. Haha. But at the same time, well, so do demons. Demons also personify themselves as more human-like. But can take the shape of different things. Yeah. Like, yeah. I'll go. There's plenty of different directions I can go, but I guess I'll just stop there because otherwise I'll just lose my train of thought.
Well, and even tying all that back to, like vampires having that demonic humanoid form. We were talking about earlier with the Eames and, angels and fallen angels, and how these things are perversions of God's goodness. Look at taking that kind of view of a vampire too. Okay, what is a vampire perversion of? Well, in one sense, Christ himself, because there's healing in the blood, and now we're going to transform you by this, poisoned blood or whatever, So there is that kind of perversion, fallen angel sort of side to it as well.
Yeah. And obviously, this vampires, we're kind of transitioning into, somehow we're going to get to the unicorns.
It'll be the greatest transition of all time. I once saw a wolf ride a horse. It was, if that horse had a horn, unicorns.
It was a narwhal on land.
Yes.
Somehow a narwhal grew hooves. Just went around. It didn't have hair on its body at the time. It just looked kind of odd, misshapen, out of place. Must be a perversion, I guess. I don't know. No, it's the missing link. Oh, my bad.
That explains it.
Yep.
And that's how we got horses. Oh, wait, that's not how that works. Oh. But But anyway, kind of, I guess going into the spiritual side of things again, I was talking to one of my coworkers at work, and he has Native American heritage. So he has tribe. He's part of the Turtle tribe. So Turtle tribe, what's up? And one thing that they kind of had belief of as well was skinwalkers. And skinwalkers, and this is more nature based as well, whereas you kind of protect nature, protect all, basically don't do stupid stuff, and the skinwalker won't get you. But it had that almost story-like quality too, but it had to have originated from something, and usually it takes on the form of a bear, or maybe it takes on the form of a person, or quote-unquote werewolf, something similar in that sense. And it has this spiritual side of things. And now whether you want to call it, oh, it's the spirit of the forest, or the spirit of whatever, it does take a spiritual side of things to the point where it becomes real for other people in the tribe, different things. It becomes a part of lore and maintains throughout history. There's a reason why it sticks, and maybe you could argue it's because, oh, it's to upkeep nature and keep everything in balance and everything like that. But balance in and of itself is something that you see throughout different cultures, history, whatever you want to call it. You have yin yang, you have different things where it has different elements of light and dark. All these balancing features that are within all different sorts of religions. So it's not just, oh, it's kind of the balance of nature here. We're not just focusing on Rayquaza here. we also have the Groudons and Kyogres.
Right.
It's, I don't even know where I'm going with this at this point. I kind of already lost my train of thought. It's left the station. I just brought Pokemon references into it, and then I lost it.
I mean, Skinwalkers and the transformation's a great segue into werewolves.
Well, that's kind of why I brought it up. But again, the anthropomorphic thing.
Yeah.
Again, you see it again. You don't really get that with unicorns, but there's a reason for that. But yeah, I guess we'll go into werewolves now. So,
What's your first thought when you think of werewolf? We'll start there.
what's your first thought? First thought.
Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf.
Man, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
I just thought of it now. I've only seen the movie once.
Someone who needs a really bad haircut.
Yeah.
Maybe they turned into Wolverine. Somehow have metal claws in their arms. Hurts a lot. Yeah. Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Wolverine-ish, but obviously it's not quite the same. But and obviously, like Wolverines for main culture would be, oh, it's just, oh, look, full moon, and oh no, all right, and now it's a wolf that's bipedal and stands on two legs.
Yeah.
And still anthropomorphic, and then they don't speak human anymore. They go woof instead. Usually full moon, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I don't know like the whole history behind werewolves.
Yeah, as we were talking about that, like the first thing I think of, is D&D. Like, I can go back a little further, Teen Wolf, American Werewolf in Paris or London, depending on which one. But D&D is usually the first thing, because then you get into werewolf, were-bear, were-rat, were-everything.
Everything's got to wear.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just like humans wear everything.
Where's Sonic?
Yeah.
Sonic Unleashed. Werehog.
Oh yeah, werehog. Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
That's a thing that happened back in 2008.
We don't talk about that.
Must be the influence of the Twilight series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't actually know the origin of werewolves.
I don't either, but
That's what phones are for.
Yeah.
I don't have the origins, but I did find something that I think is interesting. The first is there is something, and I'm sure I might butcher the name, but I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Hypertrichosis or werewolf syndrome, which is
But
it's
yeah,
an actual medical condition where hair grows all over the body.
Yeah.
But beyond that, just a simple Google search, there are actual historical cases of what people claim to be lycanthropy. Obviously, now it's viewed more as psychiatric, more of a delusional sort of thing. But a couple historical accounts that I found interesting. Peter Stubb, who was a 16th century German werewolf who convinced to murder and cannibalism under torture, basically claimed he was a werewolf and used that as his excuse to kill people. Gilles Garnier, another 16th century French hermit, who was executed for a series of murders and confessed to being a werewolf. Jacques Roulet, a 16th century man who was condemned for lycanthropy after claiming he could transform into a wolf. And then Pierre Bergat and Michael Verdun, two Frenchmen accused in 1521 of being werewolves and executed after confessing under torture to murdering and eating children. So
what's up with the 16th century?
that's part of it that stood out to me. It's like, what's going on in the 16th century in France?
Yeah.
I mean, there was the one in Germany, but a lot of it is just it's the French. Come on, guys.
It's Europe again.
Yes. So we got 16th century werewolves, we got 17th century witch trials, we got 18th century vampires.
Yeah.
Man, Europe is whoa. It's the Dark Ages in another sense.
Yeah. And I figured it was European in origin, but I wasn't sure when or how that even started.
Well, again, a lot of this, just based on Google searches, a lot of, modern psychiatrists would, put this as, no, it's not, they're not really werewolves. It was more schizophrenia or something, serious, psychiatric case that caused this. But it is interesting that around that time frame, this is what people were afraid of, at least in France.
Yeah.
It seems like
and even talking about like Halloween and its origins with like Celts, like the ancient Celtic. They had monsters and stuff like that. Werewolves probably could have been one of them.
Good one. Yeah.
I'm just gonna see if I can find the origin of werewolves.
Yeah, it might be good.
Yeah.
As we're just kind of bumbling along.
A mix of European folklore, possibly inspired by medical conditions and the human fascination with animals, early Greek and Roman myths, like the story of King Lycaon, established the idea of a curse or divine punishment, transforming humans into wolves. Norse sagas link werewolves to berserker warriors who wore wolf skins for battle.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it seems like kind of a hodgepodge of different cultures, but very European.
Yeah. I mean, European makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the whole werewolf thing kind of, again, brought over by America, like into America by colonists.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you have everything here. Yeah. Interesting. Don't really have much more to add.
I got nothing.
I don't really. Again, it kind of ties into kind of what I said about vampires with kind of the spiritual side as well. But obviously, you can always find a scientific way to explain something.
Well, yeah, I mean,
to basically negate the influence of anything spiritual, because that's kind of what culture tends to do.
Well, that was my first thought, reading those actual historical cases of people who they claimed, whether they were actually, turning into wolves or not is a whole different thing.
And
but,
the thing is, you could say demon possessed there too.
Yeah.
In the same vein, because who in their right mind would do anything of the sort?
Kill people, eat children, stuff like that. I mean, that's crazy.
There's a reason why people chained up demon-possessed people in the Bible.
Yeah.
Because they're insane.
Yeah. Scared the crap out of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that was my first thought.
It's very inhuman.
Mm-hmm.
Things that, like, if people that are demon-possessed, a lot of them share inhuman qualities.
Yep.
So, something like a werewolf being inhuman, for that example, maybe turning into a werewolf, whatever thing. Maybe that was real, or maybe it's not.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
But it doesn't negate the potential of a spiritual side to it.
I mean, in the Bible, they talk about talking donkeys and stuff like that. So you can call it delusion or whatever you want to call it. Or you can say, oh, what if God's moving in the midst of it? Or maybe it's an unholy being that's also moving in the midst of it.
Right.
Because in the Bible, Moses goes to a burning bush that isn't burning, but it is burning, and God speaks from it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to call Moses delusional?
Right.
Or, I don't know, he splits he splits the sea because of what God told him to do. Is that delusional?
Yeah.
Like, people can claim based on whatever they choose to believe, and that becomes their reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, werewolves can become someone's reality if you truly believe something like that exists, or you can believe kind of, and I'm maybe in the vein where it could be demonic influence, but at the same time, you can also include like the whole schizophrenia or all that kind of stuff as well. Who's to say? I'm not in the 16th century, so I couldn't tell you when apparently a lot of these.
Well, and a lot of these things, I mean, these people were confessing after being tortured too.
Right.
So, I mean, did people actually witness stuff happening, or I mean, we weren't there. We don't know. We know that there was probably some horrible things that happened, and they linked it to these people, and then they confessed under torture, and imprisonment. So, who knows what really went down? I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's just interesting.
Like, for me, I tie it to demons as well, because again, it's something that normal people just wouldn't do, and demons can make people sound ridiculous or do ridiculous things, like have super strength, be fortune tellers, do whatever.
We kind of talked about it with Legion.
With the Legion, yeah. So it can take on various different forms. It could have people kind of talking out of being ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Like saying ridiculous things that most people just wouldn't believe. And it's like, what if they're actually saying the truth and people just like, no, that's surely impossible. And obviously, we're sitting here talking about, what's the legitimacy of werewolves and everything. And obviously, we would be like, that's kind of ridiculous, kind of coming from what we think.
Yeah.
But, again, it's what you said earlier, too. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but you don't want to necessarily count out the spiritual side of it because we know that that's, in play. I mean,
whether people choose to believe that or not.
Oh, for sure.
Is entirely, that becomes, again, an associated reality.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you choose to believe it or not doesn't change the fact that it does or doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that truth is still true regardless if you believe it to be or not.
Right.
Obviously, we can't say one way or another whether they're real. Obviously, I lean toward more it doesn't make any sense on the scientific side of things, except for the cases that we see, like with the hair all over the body and different, cases like that, where I'm like, okay, I could see possibly some of the fear kind of stemming from that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's go on to unicorns.
Yeah, so like I said, Michael J. Fox hopped on a horse, strapped a horn to it. That's the origin of unicorns. Segue.
They need the magic from the horn to not be werewolves.
There you go.
There you go.
So unicorns, I actually... What is the origin? Because I feel like I've heard a million different things, and my initial thought would be like... I don't know,
What would be your thing, like, first thought? Because I actually did...
I guarantee it's wrong, based on what we've talked about prior, but I always associate them more with, like, English fairy tales and kind of Celtic and stuff like that, Scottish.
Yeah, the Celtic side is where I tend to go more. Like it's unicorns, fairies, all kind of in that realm.
And so that's kind of where my initial mind, goes. But I don't think that's right.
And that is definitely one of the more well-known ones.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, the unicorn first appeared in a bestiary, and during Rome.
Interesting.
So as an actual natural animal, not as fairy tale, but in a natural encyclopedia.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So it's
and I would have never guessed Rome.
Yeah.
That's not.
And we do know that during Roman occupation, the Roman Empire, there were animals that have gone extinct mainly because of Rome, but
good job, guys.
Well, we're not doing much better.
the Barbary lion and different things like that. But yeah, so things like that could exist. Some people think that it could have been rhinos to be, well, it's a horse with a horn. Because, well, they eat grass, do different things, they just have a horn. Something that was really curious on one of the, obviously, so it's Wikipedia, Google, whatever you want to call it. So, again, take it for what you will.
Yeah.
Elasmotherium, which I brought up earlier for, behemoth and different things like that, was the woolly rhino, but it had its own genus and everything. So, Elasmotherium had a horn. Possibly could have been the inspiration for the unicorn as an option, but then you look at some of the actual images, whether they're actual or not, I don't know, because Wikipedia. They look more horse-like, and not as a rhino, because rhinos when I think rhino, I think kind of similar to the Triceratops in that they have a beak or something quite similar to it. With, obviously, and then they have the horn and everything like that. So, for me, rhinos and Triceratops, kind of the same thing, just one's reptile, one's mammal.
It might just be me, but I don't look at a rhino and go, that's a horse.
Not at all.
Well, maybe that's because...
Well, yeah, no, there's a lot of different reasons, but
in another thing, where centaurs and stuff come up from Rome, they're like, or the Greeks at least, were like, what the heck are these people riding these things, these horses? They must be together, as their own thing. Yeah. So they might just not have been familiar with horses. So that comes into another thing of, well, maybe they just called it a unicorn because it had one horn. And then you have the bicorn that you see, well, typically I associate it with, again, Europe. It's a unicorn with another horn, so it's a bicorn
right,
instead of a unicorn. Kind of corny, huh? That was bad.
But
maybe it's a candy corn.
We don't speak of that.
Nobody would want to ride that.
Get me off this.
It does not have magical properties, I assure you. Yeah. But that's kind of the origin of what it is.
So there's a lot of the mythology then regarding the unicorn, that you kind of hear in the sense that it's
the magical properties.
It can only be ridden by a virgin, stuff like that. Where does that
I think some of
that more Celtic or
some of
King
it
Arthur?
I want to say some of it is European and then some of it is again Roman.
Yeah.
And because I think the virgin thing, I think that's Roman potentially. But I'm not entirely sure. That's what Google's for.
I'll look it up. I've got my phone.
I had it looked up last week, and then I didn't get a chance to look at it again, so I don't have it fresh in the mind. So if I'm speaking nonsense, there you go. That's the reason.
Oh, and again, this is it's a quick Google search. But the unicorn myth may have originated in ancient India.
Oh yeah, with the rhino
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Again, this is just a quick.
Also, would have been possible trade between ancient.
Yeah,
Rome.
Middle Ages and Renaissance is when you see it become kind of that symbol of purity, innocence, chastity.
But the actual
Also adopted as a symbol in Christian allegory, representing Jesus Christ, and was associated with the Virgin Mary. That's interesting.
probably in European.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To try to again, kind of like Halloween. Let's place something else over.
Well, it makes sense because
Well, I mean, I guess purity and
yeah, in every
everything.
mythology, like unicorns are always seen as these goodly creatures, pure,
Mhm.
holy kind of thing.
Yeah, Middle Ages and Renaissance was also the kind of the Virgin. That's where that originated. Again, according to Wikipedia. Oh, and then the tusk of a narwhal was sometimes sold as a unicorn horn.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yes.
What? They're not the same thing. Just make it like a hippogriff. Not kidding. It's not a flying hippo. Oh, darn. Just have a flying narwhal and call it a Pegasus. Somehow make it like a horse. Is it the missing link? No, it's a whole nother thing. Separate genus.
Yeah, we're just making a new myth. That's all.
Oh, and again, Wikipedia, but tying in a little bit to what you said. They're not found in Greek mythology, but are in accounts of natural history, because Greek writers of natural history were convinced in the reality of unicorns, which they believed lived in India, a distant and fabulous realm for them. So, kind of tying into, oh yeah, they would show up in a bestiary sort of thing. Yeah, there's a lot on Wikipedia. Whether it's legitimate or not, you never know.
This is what like actual deep study and everything would do. We're just Joe Schmoes, and we're just talking about.
I tend to look at Wikipedia. I'm like, yeah, it's probably legit. There's enough people there that
Fact checking
each other. That it's like every time I've tried to change a Wikipedia page, it gets taken down. Mostly because it was a joke, but do that in middle school. Just
Oh yeah.
They've changed it significantly since that. Obviously, a lot of teachers are like, "Oh, you can't trust Wikipedia. You have to use something else." I'm like, "Well, they've kind of cracked down on Wikipedia quite a bit." So I'm like, I tend to trust it a little bit more because it's a more concise area of location for all the information. Obviously, you can do your own research elsewhere, and I try to do that for a lot of things in the series and other series in general, or just on my own research.
Yeah, I mean, Wiki's great for first pass overview.
Yeah. Obviously, if you want to go a little deeper, you go a little deeper. Obviously, if we had a little bit more time and maybe a little bit more preparedness, maybe we would have looked some of this stuff
But
up.
I think for what we're talking about, and at least where we're at with our own knowledge levels regarding it, Wikipedia works fine.
Yeah.
It does what it needs to do. Thank you, Wikipedia. I still won't donate when you ask me to, but thank you. I don't care that much, but I appreciate your hard work.
All the information's all at your fingertips until people are like, but actually, you need to have actual sources and
Right.
all these other things. So actually, you don't have everything at your fingertips because you actually need to be smart and know these things apparently by the back of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Be an expert on it to actually be totally trustworthy. Newsflash: we're not all experts.
No.
So, do I know? Am I an expert on unicorns? No. Quite the contrary.
I did take a long sea voyage. I have a unicorn horn if you want it. It's just gonna cost you a pretty penny. Totally a unicorn horn, magical properties,
everything,
the whole shebang.
I mean, I may or may not have a unicorn hunting license, so I might be able to do that. It's actually legitimate. I do have a unicorn hunting license. Just ask LSSU. Lake Superior State University.
What do you use to hunt a unicorn? Excalibur? Like, what do you, like, you're a witch.
I don't have a girlfriend. And thus, unicorn. You do get it. You get the hunting license when you're a freshman. So, I mean, the reason for the unicorn hunt, it's weird. It's really bizarre. It's even on Jackbox. I saw that as a Jackbox thing in like the fib whatever the something where it's fibbage. Fibbage is what it is. I saw that on there. I'm like, oh no way. So I knew exactly the answer. Everybody else had no idea. I'm like, easiest points I'm ever gonna get. It's something so bizarre that doesn't exist. It's basically where to find all your classes and everything. But they just did it in such a bizarre, weird way of, yep, it's your unicorn hunting license. Gotta go hunt those unicorns. But yeah. So that's how you catch a unicorn, guys.
You know that like those shows like they've got like the Bigfoot hunters, like just do like a unicorn hunt. Oh, it's just, we've been scouring this wood.
So basically you just have a bunch of virgins and everything just walking around.
We've been scouring this glade for 38 hours.
Just wait until the middle of the night and have somebody go out there with a flashlight and flick it on and off real quick. That had to be a unicorn.
Sure, it was a centaur.
Someone's taking a whiz outside the tent.
What are you doing? It's the flashlight, Josh. It's just the flashlight. What are we talking about? How did we get here?
I don't know. Unicorn hunting license. We're gonna hunt some rabbits. No, we're hunting unicorns. But what if that one has 3? Oh, are you sure we're hunting for unicorns? Oh, never mind. That's just a bicorn and a unicorn. Oh no. I guess interesting thing about bicorns are often the antithesis of unicorns. So
Double trouble.
the evil aspect of it. So the good and evil almost in that as well. Or at least from what I know from different shows and all that kind of
Bicorns
stuff.
definitely look evil in Persona 5 when you fight them. That's the only reason I know they're a thing. So much of my knowledge of like these myths, I'm like, yeah, I was in Persona 5 or Shin Megami Tensei, like, which it's a summon.
Checks out because
Yeah.
they grab from every mythology out there.
Yes, angels.
Yeah.
Yes, here's Anzu.
Yeah.
Bicorn.
I mean that's the interesting thing I do kind of like about like Japanese culture and different things like that. Let's combine absolutely everything. So, when things like this come up, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that before in a video game, or in a manga, or an anime, different things like that. Are they 100% what they originally were? Absolutely not. Just ask Disney and Marvel Studios.
Right.
Go ask Thor how he really feels.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're definitely going way off track. So, anything else about unicorns, werewolves, and vampires and how they all mesh together? And
Well, the vampire segment was good. The rest of it, I don't know what we talked about.
Now you combine werewolf, vampire, and unicorn, you get a weird Pegasus.
A horse with one horn, bat wings, and a lot of hair.
And this horse will suck your blood.
So a bicorn.
Yeah.
The 2 horns are actually fangs.
See, now I'm just imagining a horse with like fangs coming down this long.
We're vampicorn.
It's the saber-toothed corn. Imagine a saber-toothed horse. Oh gosh. Oh, we've gone way off track. As per usual.
Yeah.
But anyway, with the unicorn discussion, however awkward and random and everything that it was, we are planning on moving into more of the real creatures.
So Mothman, finally. I want to keep talking about it until we talk about Mothman.
I mean, you can bring up Mothman whenever
He's
you
more
want.
of an alien, so maybe I'll wait for aliens. That's the belief, at least.
So this next little segment of creatures that we'll talk about are creatures that have existed in the past or have and could or may still be around or are gone. And we'll just kind of talk about what they were and why they still kind of exist in this, I guess, realm of why they're still interesting or people still talk about them. So things like the Kraken or Loch Ness Monster, different things like that. Obviously, people have attributed different things to them, and that's kind of what I'm going on the assumption of for some of these real creatures.
Mhm.
And obviously, we'll go into it when we get there.
So what's next week? Is it Kraken and...
I think it's the Kraken. But,
I've always wanted to unleash a Kraken.
Yeah.
I mean, now we have the Kraken. It's a hockey team. It's the Seattle Kraken.
I
I'm
know
glad.
Jack Sparrow fought one once.
Yep.
So what does that make Davy Jones?
Great question. Some guy with weird skin. Or
Even
bad skin or whatever. I mean, he's got tentacles all over him. Spent way too much time underwater.
Ursula must have hung out. What kind
Poor
of curse,
unfortunate soul.
what kind of curse did he get? He wanted something and he got something, but it wasn't exactly what he called for.
Looks more
Eric-
like a mind flare.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Ariel lost her voice. Davy Jones bellies. Yep.
Keeps his heart in a box, you know.
You minor details.
I mean, I do that sometimes, you know. Feeling down and out, just put my heart in a box.
You don't have tentacles, do you?
Not that I know of. That's a personal question, Brandon. I feel better if you didn't ask that question. It's for me to know and you never to find out.
Are we all mind flares? Oh no.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Roll through initiative. And on that note, we need help. And I guess you can roll through initiative to see how well you enjoyed this video.
Please like.
I'm gonna go home and play Baldur's Gate now.
And on that note, signing off.
Have a great night.
Have a great night.
Adios.
See you next week. Bye.